Hello there, and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. For our fellow Americans who are dependent on unemployment benefits, almost 10% unemployment rate right now in the country, and this has been confirmed by the Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell. There he is. Hello, Jerome. And also by the US Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen. There she is. Hello, Secretary Yellen. They have confirmed that the unemployment rate is at 10%. In fact, here's some brand new reporting, some brand new data. And you'll see this tweet on your screen from CNN. Another 861,000 of our fellow Americans filed for unemployment benefits for the first time last week, according to most recently available data. That's nearly 100,000 more claims than economists had predicted. Here's the article on your screen from CNN. Jobless claims jump. Another 861,000 Americans filed for initial benefits last week. In fact, if we scroll down the article, there's an interesting chart right here. And so that number of 861,000 was claims for state benefits. On top of claims for state benefits, there were claims for Pandemic Unemployment Assistance, which is the PUA program, which is the program for self-employed workers, for gig workers, for part-time workers that was set up through the CARES Act that did not exist prior to the CARES Act. So on top of the 861,000 claims, there was an additional 516,299 Americans filed for claims through the PUA program. When we add the two numbers, that's 1.4 million initial claims for unemployment benefits in the country. In 1 week, folks, this is a serious problem. Let's take a look at this chart on your screen, which shows you that unemployment claims remain high. By the way, we'll provide you with a link to this CNN article in the description section below so you can check it out. This is data from the US Bureau of Labor Statistics. Almost 1.4 million of our fellow Americans filed initial claims, meaning first-time claims for unemployment benefits in the week ending the 13th of February. This past week, including claims, not only from states, but including claims through the PUA program. Just take a look at this chart right here. You'll see the massive spike in unemployment benefit claims when the pandemic hit us. And now let's focus our attention towards the final quarter of 2020 and the first couple of months of 2021. There's a disturbing trend right there. The trend is gradually going up. It went up, as you can see, then it went down a bit, and now it's gradually going up. Now, each of those figures right there, each of those sticks right there represent weekly claims. So you're looking at weekly claims. Let's now zoom out and look at the whole chart, and you'll see that these are weekly claims since the start of the pandemic. The light blue section corresponds to state unemployment claims, first-time claims, and the darker blue section corresponds to claims through the PUA program. So if you're a self-employed worker, a gig worker, a part-time worker, and you're getting PUA benefits, you fall within the dark blue portion of this graph right here. So let's take a look at the weekly sticks and take a look at the last 2 or 3 weeks as we zoom in to that part of the image. You'll start to see the surge in the light blue portion, the state unemployment, as well as that dark blue portion, which is the PUA program. Folks, this is a bad sign right now. According to CNN, economists agree that the vaccine rollout paired with warmer weather that allows more outdoor activities, including eating at restaurants, will boost employment and allow more workers to get off benefits and back into the job market. Let's wait and see what happens. But at this moment in time, the numbers are not encouraging. Let's switch gears to the Associated Press. A headline from the Associated Press: US jobless claims rise to 861,000 as layoffs stay high. And just to give our subscribers an idea of the massive, the unprecedented nature of this particular recession, the numbers are unlike anything you've ever seen before. This was in the Associated Press article. As always, you'll get a link to the article in the description section below. Check out this image. It's just incredible. Initial unemployment claims. Focus on the gray area. You'll see the gray area in 2001 and the gray area in 2008, and look at the spike in initial unemployment claims at that time, and take a look at the massive spike that took place at the start of this pandemic. We went from about 220,000 people on unemployment benefits right up to a whopping 6+ million people on unemployment benefits. It just went up just like that in March of this year. Now, it has started tapering down a little bit, which is encouraging. But if you take a look at the right side of this image as we move the cursor through different periods from March of 2020, getting closer to where we are now at the start of the year in 2021, you'll start to see that things started to get better, but now things are starting to taper off. This is not a good sign. You want that graph to go back to the baseline where it was prior to the pandemic, and we are not there yet. It's still going to take us some time to get back to where we were. And let's take a look at this image on your screen that shows you the continuous jobless claims across the United States. You can actually check this out. We'll provide you with a link to the article, like I said, but you can check this out and see where your state is doing relative to other states. Now keep in mind, these are continued jobless claims. The initial unemployment claims that I alluded to earlier represent people who are filing unemployment benefit claims for the first time. These are initial jobless claims. Let's take a look at a few states. Let's take a look at California, for example, and you can see the statistics from California. It's 87% from a year ago, so substantially higher from a year ago. Past week's claims were well over 700,000. Now the weekly change is minus 9%, which means unemployment benefit claims, the initial unemployment benefit claims are decreasing and things are starting to get better in California. And a 30-day moving average is almost 750,000 people. In fact, just over 750,000 people. And you can see that that graphic at the top, the colors. The darker the color, the higher the number of unemployment claims. Let's take a look at a state which is quite dark, literally, and this state is Florida in terms of unemployment claims. And you can see that the change from a year ago is 492%, which means 5 times as many unemployment claims and ongoing unemployment claims from the jobless compared to a year ago. Past week's claims over 200,000, weekly change 9%, which means unemployment claims are going up and the 30-day moving average is 180,000. Pretty incredible. And speaking of dark, let's take a look at Texas again. My best wishes, and I'm hoping that everyone in Texas is staying safe. It's really rough out there, especially if you're in and around certain areas in Texas that have been hit hard by the unbelievable weather. Let's take a look at Texas claims. Change from a year ago, 166%, which means still pretty bad, almost twice as many claims. Past week's claims, 355,000. Weekly change, 5%. And the 30-day average of almost 350,000 individuals. Other states that are doing badly, let's move up to the right, and we're looking at New Hampshire, which is not doing very well at all. That's a state which is in the darker color. And then we'll move over right next to California, and this is Arizona. Also not doing very well at all. These are the states that are really struggling in terms of unemployment benefits. What jumps out at me is that different states are doing differently. The one thing about this pandemic is that the country will recover, but different states will recover at different rates. And this is one thing that the Republicans can look at and say, hey, some states are doing much better. But then the Democrats will look at these initial unemployment claims, which went up, and say, hey, we need more stimulus. You'll see this tweet on your screen from John Bresnahan over at Punchbowl News. And John says, Democrats are saying that this supports their position on the massive $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan. And speaking of tweets, here's another tweet on your screen from Emily Peck, who's a senior editor at Huffington Post. And Emily writes, I wrote about one of the more absurd policy failures about the pandemic. Millions of individuals owe taxes on their unemployment benefits. Now, I will be doing another detailed video on this aspect of the unemployment benefits. Unfortunately, unemployment benefits are subject to federal income taxes, but the stimulus checks are not. So this means that those who are receiving unemployment benefits need to be able to set aside money to pay their taxes in case they haven't set up withholding of their federal income taxes from their unemployment benefits through the state agency. So I will be doing another more detailed video about this. But Emily says, I spoke to a few unemployed people who owe thousands of dollars, and these people are broke. Some will use stimulus checks to pay their tax obligations for unemployment. Think about this. We get the stimulus check, instead of using it to pump money back into the economy, instead of using it to buy food, keep the lights on, pay rent, some individuals are going to have to use the stimulus check to pay the government because they have a tax obligation from the unemployment benefits that they got from the government. Here's the Huffington Post article on your screen from Emily. Jobless Americans face surprise tax bills on unemployment benefits, and in an absurd, I would call it a bizarre twist, many say that they will be forced to use the next round of stimulus checks, the $1,400 stimulus checks, to pay the government because of their tax obligations. Let me know what you think of this unbelievable situation of the uneven economic recovery of the fact that initial unemployment claims are on the rise. Let's go back to that chart that I showed you earlier from the CNN article, where you can start to see over the past few weeks. Look at those stick figures over the past few weeks representing the gradual increase in initial claims, in first time claims for both state benefits as well as the PUA program. This tells you how dire the situation is. And when we go back to the image that represented all the different states and how states are doing, you'll see from this image that different states are doing differently. You'll see the states in a darker color are doing much worse than the states in a lighter color in terms of unemployment benefits. Some states have unemployment benefit numbers that they've never ever seen before in the history of the country. And on top of that, as you can see back to the article on your screen from the Huffington Post, individuals are going to be forced to use their $1,400 stimulus checks to pay off the government because they owe taxes. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Also, thank you so much for watching. I hope this helps you prepare for what is likely to come. And I'm confident and I'm hopeful that we can all as a country recover from this. Please click the like button. Please subscribe. Please enable notifications because that really helps out the YouTube algorithm. We work hard behind the scenes to bring you this high quality content as it happens. I really appreciate you watching. Again, please subscribe, please enable notifications. That would mean a lot to me personally. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.